Hey, I thought I'd go through one of my all-time favorite Dead performances. Uh, in March 23rd, 1975, at Kezar Stadium, they did just a 30-minute set for a benefit concert that was being held. They had just gone into the studio about a month before to begin working on Blues for Allah album. The set that they did at the Kezar Stadium was really the combination of stuff from Blues for Allah and pieces of what eventually would become King Solomon's Marbles. So there's a bit of Stronger Than Dirt in there. The label is sometimes, if you look at the song list at the archive.org site where you can find it, they call it at times Milking the Turkey, but I'm not sure if that's actually right, however you carve up King Solomon's Marbles. But it's a great performance. There's rehearsals that you can find as well for it. So it was clearly a piece that they had put together. They did a similar piece of this Blues for Allah jam, whatever you want to call it, at June 17th, 1975 at Winterland. But the March 23rd Kezar Stadium performance is really quite incredible. It's a bit of an odd thing to do, this almost one-off experience, but it's got such great work going through it. So check it out at the archive.org site. I know it's available to YouTube as well. And I'll go through some of the pieces. Let's see what we can come up with. So we're going to start off with the Blues for Allah riffs without the lyrics. I think they hadn't worked them out yet. Essentially, think of it as riffs that use the F major scale. The first round is going to be using the F as the first note. Then they repeat the riffs, essentially starting on the F sharp. Then there's a riff that starts with the A. That cycles through a couple times. Then they go through some spacey dissonant stuff. I think essentially what they're doing is moving gradually from the F major scale to the B Dorian, because once they emerge out of the spacey stuff into the Milking the Turkey jam parts, Jerry's going to be working off the B Dorian, while Phil's going to be starting that with the recognizable licks that he does, starting on the B note. So I'm going to go through that stuff, and then we'll come back and we'll look at what Weir's doing. For the B Dorian, it's the same notes as found in the A major scale, but you want to make the B note really the focus, is the way to bring out that it's the B Dorian. All right, so let's go through it. Now, when we get to Weir's parts, as unfortunately is often the case, it's hard to hear him. It's especially hard in this performance as they've got two keyboardists. Mel Saunders joined in. They were actually supposed to have Ned as well, and David Crosby had rehearsed with them and was going to play, but he didn't show up for whatever reason. So Weir parts, they're hard to track down. By listening to some of the rehearsals, I was able to get a glimpse of what he was doing. So we've got B minor in the mix. Big surprise since we're working on B Dorian for Jerry. And then also do B minor up high. B minor, throw in the C sharp. And then this progression often, a B minor to an A to an E. And then another little move he'll make will be to go to the A, to the D, back to the A. Then some variations you can do is do a B minor, grab the C sharp, and then slide up to this kind of A that Bobby likes to play. So you got your A, and then get the extra high E in there. Sometimes on the rehearsals, he'll actually just kind of do this kind of jazzy sounding slide up to a C sharp minor. And as far as I can tell, that's pretty much Weir's parts. Now, though they called it Milk and the Turkey, which really becomes ultimately part of the King Solomon's Marbles, I'm not sure whether they really had figured out that, because the King Solomon's Marbles track on the album, it's really got lots of changes and lots of different parts. And at least in these set pieces that they did, the Kezar and the Winterland performances, they're really doing only parts of what later became King Solomon's Marbles, within the context, as I said, of this Blues for Allah jam, you might call it. Something else to keep in mind for Weir. Now I know on Jay Dark's tabs, he's got them with a B minor and then a B minor 7th to a B minor 6. So it'd be something like. Whereas I'm doing B minor, A minor, sorry, A, and then E with that kind of inverted E that Bobby likes to do. Here's our E, here's our barred part, and then we got the G sharp. Personally, I just can't hear well enough Weir's parts to tell in these performances whether he's doing this or whether he's doing. It's certainly easier to do it this way. With the other little twists that I showed you. All right. Alright, so let's try to put some of the pieces together, a little bit of bass line, a little bit of the weird stuff I was just doing, and try to show you some of the licks that Jerry makes that stand out when I listen to it. Now, his soloing goes on for quite a long time. There's lots of cool stuff he does, so let me try to just pick out a few things. I think it really does stay in the B Dorian for almost the entire, I'll just go out and say I think it just stays in the B Dorian. It does get a bit repetitive, but definitely some of the best jamming I've ever heard, which is why I wanted to do this. Now the way the piece wraps up is, they've been in that B Dorian jamming stage for quite a while. Eventually, they move to a D major, just doing some arpeggios off the D major, which makes sense. You know, the D major and the B minor go together. So we've got the D major. Then there's going to be a transition basically to a D minor, because the D minor is the relative minor of the F. And when we get to the F, we're going to be able to put ourselves back into the Blues for Allah part that we started with. And that's what the song is going to end with. Then we get this kind of little progression. If you do it up on the second and third strings, it's really the 1 and the 3 of an F chord, and then the minor of. So an F, 1 and the 3 of an F chord, then the 1 and the flat 3 of a G, 1 and the 3, flat 3 of a G sharp, 1 and the flat 3 of an A. And then we'll do that often, and then we'll end it on an F. And while they're going over that little progression I just sketched out, those partial chords, Jerry's doing some soloing again back in the F major.